Hey guys, it's Cory from CoryBakerFilmmaker.com, and I just saw Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, directed by J.A. Bayona and written by Derek Connolly and Colin Trevorrow. Caught this flick at the Glendale Pacific 18, um, one of the smaller theaters. It's a I always like the theater. I did have a little bit of problem with talking during this movie. I don't really care that much, given that it was Jurassic World, because this movie wasn't very good. On to the plot. Basically, we pick up right where we left off at the end of the last Jurassic World movie. Everyone has escaped the island, and now there is a volcano that's about to go off and kill all the dinosaurs that are on the island. And there's a push from Bryce Dallas Howard's character to Claire to save all the dinosaurs. And Eli, played by Rafe Spall, tries to convince her that he's put together the sanctuary a short distance away from the Jurassic World island, where they're going to take all the dinosaurs, but he has nefarious intentions and he looks to sell all the dinosaurs instead, including one for military purposes. To go back, I think that Jurassic Park, the original Jurassic Park, was one of those movies that hit me just at the right time. I was way into dinosaurs. I had actually read Michael Crichton's book prior to seeing the movie, and I still remember I was in Ocean City, Maryland, at the multiplex there, because my family was vacationing for the week when Jurassic Park came out, and I was blown away by the dinosaurs. I couldn't even imagine the things I was seeing. This is pre-internet, really, but I remember I was reading an article about how they made the dinosaurs, like how they basically took the prosthetic skin and put it over top of the robots that made the dinosaurs back then, and everything about that movie to me felt transcendent. Like, it was one of the first films that I saw as I was growing up, where I had a moment of like, oh my god, this is amazing. I wish I could do something like this. And basically every single Jurassic Park since then, to varying degrees, has ruined the first one. And I don't want to sound like some sort of like Star Wars fanboy who's like ruining their franchise right now because of their behavior, but I'm saying, like, Universal just needs to stop with the Jurassic Park movies, especially bunching them all together like this. Because I mean, this is not this is following so closely with what went wrong the first time when you went from Jurassic Park to the Lost World and all the like. Just stop. Like, I already know there's a third one in the works because they can't help themselves. And I know they've been bailed out substantially by China and foreign box office on this one, but it's not good. It's ruining the brand equity that you have with fans who are willing to go see it. And I said, walking out to the group I was with, that I'm officially done. I can't watch my children be tortured like this anymore. I'm just done. The Jurassic World was fine, but I mean it really just felt like the last Fast and the Furious movie, where I saw the last one with Paul Walker, when I felt like the ridiculousness had reached such a preposterous level that I couldn't do it anymore. In good faith, I couldn't say to myself, oh yeah, I'm going to go watch another Fast and the Furious movie, because I knew I would just end up being upset and disappointed, and I don't want to do that. Especially don't want to do it with Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, however you want to look at this franchise. I'm pretty done. I would further that by saying I didn't hate Jurassic World. I didn't think it was anywhere nearly as good as Jurassic Park, but obviously that's a tremendous feat to try try and get to. It's just, I like the idea that they gave Colin Trevorrow the sort of like the license to go run with it, and I thought the freedom that they gave him on that first one was great, and I was kind of excited to hear that Bayona was going to do this one, but I also was like, why are they... There's a part of me that wants major studios to take risks with new upcoming directors on properties like this, because it can give them a fresh new feel. But the problem is that this is not fresh. This does not feel like you just let people have at. And I even joke, because so much of this movie, like halfway through, it becomes about auctioning off dinosaurs to the highest bidders, and it's just a room full of, the 1%, if you will. And it just sort of felt like channeled in the writing was, I don't want to write this stupid fucking movie. Give us time to work on it. And Universal execs being like, no, we need to have the new Jurassic World in 2 weeks. You better have it. And it's just like, well, fine. I'm going to write this whole stupid fucking subplot about how people are just bidding for dinosaurs. And we'll pitch it to Universal and they'll say, this is horseshit. And we'll get a chance to actually write it with the amount of time we need to come up with a good storyline. And Universal ended up loving it. And then we have this stupid piece of shit movie. Because it makes no goddamn sense why it's this bad. It really, I mean, like, I've talked before about how it's harder and harder to make a really cataclysmically bad movie like it used to be, because just everyone knows there's kind of like an analytics involved. Like, we know what works, and like what, like the cameras have never been better, and the sound equipment has never been better, and lighting has never been better, and all these things you can finally tune in, you can get it perfect. I mean, the thing looks great, the thing sounds great, the thing has amazing production design, but none of it matters. It's all garbage. Other than that, I mean, like, it's just a really good looking piece of garbage. Further onto that point, the acting in this movie was not great. I mean, I've always liked, I'll start at the top. I've always liked Chris Pratt. I've been a fan of his since Parks and Rec, when I was watching it, like, on actual terrestrial television back in the day. But it seems like ever since the first Guardians movie, he's sort of been phoning it in a little bit more and more throughout the course of this. And I don't know if it's just that nothing is being able to hit him the same. I mean, like, none of the things that every one of those pieces has been not as well written as the first Guardians movie. So, I mean, there's certainly a part of he can only do as much as he can with the material. But it honestly feels like he's less charming and less... Like, he needed to push real hard to get Guardians, and then as soon as he did it, he sort of coasted a little bit. And I'm not saying that he's not trying or he's not doing it, but it's just not... Nobody is putting it in his wheelhouse. And if it feels like if he doesn't get something that he can aspire to, he's just going to shoot for the middle, and that's not how this works. And then Bryce Dallas Howard is just... she's fine. I don't think that she's bringing anything particularly necessary for this whole movie. I mean, it could have literally been anybody. The only reason why it was Bryce Dallas Howard was because she was in Jurassic World. So we have to have her in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, or else it doesn't make any sense. But, I mean, you have James Cromwell basically playing the founder of Jurassic Park, only not the founder of Jurassic Park. It's so fucking weird. And, I mean, Rafe Spall is basically doing a discount Ryan Reynolds from Van Wilder impression, only stuffy. Justice Smith is nerdy Aaron Judge. Daniella Pineda is basically just being shoved in like, oh, you want a strong and vibrant woman? Here's your strong and vibrant woman. And it all feels just wrong and placated to. Like, I don't And the biggest crime of them all, Jeff Goldblum, like being shown in all the trailers and just being in one goddamn scene at the very beginning of the movie. This whole thing was a huge fiery mess from the beginning, and I really just kind of wish that the volcano would have killed everybody, and then the movie could have been 20 minutes long, and I could have complained about it just being 20 minutes long, but then I wouldn't have had to have dealt with any of the other nonsense that happened from that point on, because it's really really off base. It felt like a bizarro Tarantino movie in the fact that everything, every shot, every big moment was just being ripped off from another movie. But unlike Tarantino, where he rips off from somebody and does it a little bit different or a little bit better or like improves upon it in some sort of way, they ripped off things and then made it worse. So none of these moments had the same sort of landing as they did in the things that they're stealing from. So I mean, like, there's multiple references throughout the entire thing to the original Jurassic Park. Just touchdown moments of like where you see, think about like the end moment of the first Jurassic Park movie where the Tyrannosaurus Rex is, screaming inside of the main visitor hall, and the sign is falling and everything like that. They try and redo that shot 3 times during the course of Fallen Kingdom, and every single one of them just looked subpar compared to it, and made me think about Jurassic Park while I was watching Fallen Kingdom, and made me say, oh my god, how fucking far has this thing fallen? If you're going to try and take something old and repurpose it for something new, you have to variant it enough and improve it enough to make somebody go, oh, this is a new independent piece of work. This is basically like I watched a whole bunch of movies and I stole a whole bunch of shots, and then I didn't learn why any of them worked. Like, what made these things actually work on screen? I'm just going to try and duplicate them. And the just basic things, like the number of times where the line is crossed is completely unnecessary. Like, I don't know if nobody was paying attention, or if just the editor just decided to freelance, or why they would even shoot it like that. Like, these are serious questions that, like, and it's not like, like, oh, my whole world has changed at this moment, so let's shift the line and throw people's view of it off. No, it happens, and no reason, and you're like, why why is it like this? Final thought. I don't know who Rob got this from, but he mentioned to me before the movie started, and I don't think any point has been more salient in trying to describe what they're doing with the Jurassic World franchise. But just in the next one, just give them guns. Give them guns, make them drive, add Vin Diesel, do whatever you got to do, because, I mean, at this point, it's not serious anymore. You've already made so much of a joke of a incredibly classic movie, and you Fast and the Furious it so bad that you might as well just go all in. You might as well just have the dinosaurs driving cars and shooting at each other, because there's no reason for it to be like that. I mean, if you're just going to be ridiculous, you might as well go all in. Don't half measure this. And at this point, I feel like the third one in this Jurassic World trilogy, which has already been announced and it's already coming out and everything like that, I feel like if I don't see something that makes me say, like, oh, we figured out how badly we fucked up and we're going to fix it, then just go all in. Just balls deep. Don't even worry about it. I've invented a new kind of dinosaur that helps you describe what kind of movie you're going to see. It's called the leaderboard! Again, Pacific Glendale, 18. We're getting not close to another featurette, but we're working our way there. So hopefully I'll be able to see some more movies at Glendale, and we'll get it there soon. On to the movie leaderboard. I mean, the biggest problem with this movie is that I want to like put it on the Fast and the Furious leaderboard because you shouldn't take this movie seriously, but the fact that it's a spiritual successor to Jurassic Park means that it can't, like, that was a serious movie, and just because it became unserious at some point along the way, like, Fast and the Furious was always stupid. Like, it was, from the beginning, it was stupid. At the beginning, it was a little bit more stodgy about it, but it knew what it was. And Jurassic World is trying to act like it's a serious movie in clown pants. Like, so, I mean, it's really not a thing for the Fast and the Furious leaderboard. It's just the regular one. And if I have to give it a rating, I'll give it a 4.8. And I really think that's kind of generous, because if I was grading on a scale, and the scale, I mean, like, I gave Rampage a really terrible review, but I was sure when I walked in I wasn't going to like Rampage. It felt like it wasn't going to be good. And then when I saw it, I knew it wasn't good. And nothing about it, there was no redeeming qualities throughout the viewing of it that made me go like, oh yeah, I was wrong about this. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is kind of the same way, where like I didn't think it was going to be good, and then I watched it and it wasn't good, but it kept reminding me of the really good thing that came before it. I mean, it's not like Rampage is like the seventh variant of some classic Orson Welles film or something. It's just, it's The Rock based off a video game that's been in development for fucking ever, and it was terrible. But Jurassic Park was based off of a Michael Crichton novel that was amazing, directed by Spielberg, one of our greatest at his height, and it's just degraded to this. So, I mean, figure out the next big thing, the writer-director that you really trust. Give him an open checkbook and say, start anew. You don't need to have Chris Pratt. You don't need to have Bryce Dallas Howard. You don't need to have anything. Jurassic Park. It's yours. Just figure it out. Write us a script. Shoot it. We're not even going to bother you. And then we'll release it. Because that's the only way that you can get back to some level of soul in this whole thing. Because it's been lost a long time ago. Like all the bankers and the dinosaur auction scene. Anyway. That's it for me. If you want more, you can go to my website, CoryBakerFilmmaker.com, Facebook.com/CoryBakerFilm, or Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at LegendCB5. If you like this review, please share it with somebody else who might like it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't liked it. Like this video if you did in fact like it, and if you disliked it, you don't have to put that kind of negativity on me. I'm just trying to do my best. But that's it. So if you don't mind, I'm going to make a new kind of raptor out of an old kind of raptor.